VocalEye Almost Live Zoom, Swim, hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guests Jivesh Parasram and Tom Arthur Davis.
A big welcome to all to this VocalEye Almost Live event. My name is Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director here at VocalEye. I'm your host for these Almost Live events, and I'm a member of the blind community. And as I say every week, I love this space. I love this space. I love this space. I love my community. I just love being here with you all. You make my Wednesday nights so enjoyable, and I look forward to them all week long. So just a big thank you to all for joining us here, for supporting us, through the pandemic months/years, and writing testimonials, contributing financially to support our work. All of that makes sense. We read it all. We appreciate it all. So you can always check in with us and log on to our website to get involved with our newsletters and see what's going on. If folks happen to be joining us on our YouTube channel, and that's where you're watching this, you can do the same thing. You can hit like and subscribe. We hope you do that. You can click the donate button on our website. You can sign up for our newsletters. There's lots of ways that you can support us. And you can even donate very small amount of money, which is kind of like a, buy us a cup of coffee, and it's like, a couple of dollars. So it's kind of a nice way to treat through donating. All right, VocalEye is broadcasting to you all from the traditional and unceded or stolen lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So every week, as you all know, I try and make my land acknowledgements customized, different. It gives me an opportunity to learn new things and to share new things that I have learned. I'm not an Indigenous person. I'm a white settler person. But in trying to do my own work around truth and reconciliation and learning and all of that stuff, I continue to research and to find things and to read things and to learn things. And so I want to share with you something that I read earlier, which is from a document called Looking Forward, Looking Back, Canada's Response to Land Claims. And this is just an excerpt from it. I can share the link to the whole piece if folks want to read that or find a way to circulate that afterwards. But here's just an excerpt from it. So here we go. In 1874, a band in southern Saskatchewan, living on the margins of Canadian society, signed Treaty Number 4 with the Canadian government and released most of its traditional territory in exchange for a much smaller reserve and promises of farm implements and annual annuities to ensure its survival. Within 30 years, the band's population decreased nearly 50% from starvation and disease, and the band was devoid of leadership. In the middle of January, Canada's harshest month of cold and snow, in the year 1907, Canadian government officials arrived in this community with money and pen in hand and offered $10,000 if the band agreed to surrender nearly 70% of its reserve lands. So what happened after that was, after they surrendered that reserve lands, and initially they said no, the Canadian government came back again and offered the same deal again, and this time, because the people were starving, they reluctantly said yes. And it's taken them more than 70 years to put a land claim to get their land back. So the story continues, and I won't read the rest of it to you, but this is enough to tease your appetite, because the article goes on to talk about how Canada responds to land claims of Indigenous peoples in this country. Because many Indigenous peoples, in fact, probably most, or all, were tricked into signing their lands over, and treaties were not honored. So if you're interested in reading more about the Canadian government and how they approach land back claims and the history of that, I'm happy to share that document with you so you can learn some more, just like I did. Okay, friends, it's Wednesday. It's November the 13th, 2024, and I want to welcome you to tonight's Almost Live event. It's our number 164th event, And tonight we're offering you Swim. And our special guests in this space are Jiv and Tom. Do we have Jiv with us? Did Jiv join us? I know we've got Tom standing by.
I did. Hello.
Hello, Jiv. Hello, Tom. Let's get some squares up. Tired of looking at my own face. It's always just my face up there. It should just be a black square. How are you, my friends?
Very well. Yeah. Thanks for having
Very
us.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just ask you to do a little self-introduction for our group so that we can get to know a little bit about you as artists before we do a little pre-show chit-chat. Who would like to start? Jiv, Tom, Jiv, Tom, Jiv, Tom.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, me then. Hey, everybody. My name's Jiv Parasram. I am one of the co-founders of Pandemic Theater and one of the co-writers of the piece Swim, which you'll hear a workshop version of tonight. The actual piece will be premiering soon. Anyway, so you'll hear something that we put together kind of a few years back at the SummerWorks Festival. Yeah, that's roughly me. I'm also for those in Vancouver, I am also the artistic director of a company called Rumble Theater here. Here you're looking at checking out the Panto, which is great because I'm one of the co-writers of the East Van Panto, and I just came from tech.
Woohoo!
Last
Awesome.
last year's Panto that Jib also co-wrote was amazing. It actually was one of my favorite things I saw all year. And I'm
It
not
was,
just saying that
it
because
was
I
great.
like him. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And shout out to my friend Haley, who is in Panto. I believe she's Robin Hood.
Oh yeah, she's killing it. She's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, Haley is a star. I love the bones of that human. Anyways, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, hi, I'm Tom. He, him, my pronouns. I'm based in Lekwungen language territories. That's the song he's in the Squamalt and the Wasanich up the road in Saanich. Co-founded Pandemic Theater with Jiv in 2009, not in 2020. Make art mainly through that, often with Jiv. I don't know, we've done a lot of shows by now. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, creator guy.
Creative guys. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, pandemic theater in 2009. I bet you get asked a lot if you
Hmm.
started it over the pandemic.
Yeah, we actually at one point changed our letterhead to say founded 2009 dot 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 no, but seriously. Um, we never had to send a letter with that letterhead, but it was fun for a couple of years.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about swim and this workshop version of it, which you gladly offered to share with us tonight, which I'm ever so grateful. Where did the idea for swim come from? Because we're going to talk about a little bit of that and then lead into what it is. So, what was the impetus for this piece?
I think it in a lot of ways, like there's a lot of the source material which we can talk a little bit about too. But I think practically like we were at the opening for one of our shows that we'd been working on for quite a while, and it was a pretty big, ambitious show that we did. Tom directed it excellently, and we were both very tired. Uh, and I guess we were just talking about like what the next thing we could work on and batting around some ideas. And the after working on a big cast show, I think the idea of just working on something that would just be the two of us felt really easy and attainable, and like something that we had the capacity for.
Hmm.
Uh, and we also knew that at the time I had just moved to Vancouver. Tom was still living in Toronto. So there was this thing about distance, and we were trying kind of exploring distance in our working relationship. And so that is also somewhat related to the piece itself, which we'll tell you a bit more about probably right now, but is about migration, largely speaking, but it's inspired by a very specific migration path that people make and was definitely in the news a lot at the time.
Yeah. Want to add anything to that, Tom?
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to pull up the name. I'm forgetting the name of the gentleman who Jiv is specifically referencing right now. But there was a gentleman who was a Syrian refugee during the escalation of the war there, who went through, got into Turkey, and then didn't, I guess, for whatever reason, didn't try to get across via boat. Probably a money thing. So he chose to swim from Güzelkalni, Turkey, to the nearest uh, Greek island, which is Samos. That's an eight kilometer swim. And yeah, I remember, yeah, I think Jiv brought that to my attention, and I remember we were both kind of struck by that and just the sheer danger of something like that. And yeah, I guess we just kind of started talking about like what would that do to your mind and to your body. And so we were interested in exploring that. Like what is the actual effects of that, essentially on your soul as you're going through something like that. Because it's yeah, so perilous.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I guess like kind of in that it is kind of a meditative piece. I think that was also very intentional. We wanted it to make it a meditative piece. And one little small thing about how we made it too is in order to kind of like figure out what the form was going to be, we actually like just swam. Like we tried just swimming laps. Like keep in mind, 8 kilometers, it doesn't seem that far walking wise. It's really far swimming wise. So like even just us swimming for like maybe we made like a kilometer each, and we would just kind of like talk our thoughts that were drifting into our heads to each other, kind of start to get a sense for it. It's extremely exhausting. So part of the show originally was the idea that we would love to have the audience either themselves swimming the entire time or that there would be like a live swimming component to the show. In this one that we did for SummerWorks, we recommended that people maybe try it walking or something that is like a repetitive motion. So, but a lot of people listen to it in very different ways, so it's not like an essential thing. But I think that that kind of rhythm of constant movement is a big part of the show.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you were swimming, were you outdoor swimming or were you like a public swimming pool?
It was Jiv's pool in his condo. So Jiv did it first, and then I was like, all right, now that he did it, I'm gonna try to not touch the sides of the pool because I feel like I was trying to give myself more of an experience of what it was like because there's no edges if you're out
Yeah.
in the water. So yeah, it was interesting. Just like, I mean, it's obviously so different and such different political circumstances and emotional and physical circumstances because it's, you're not dealing with
No
wildlife
wind, no
or
current.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But it was interesting. Like it did create some of the thought patterns that I think we ended up exploring in the piece eventually. Like a lot of like just I think we would just kind of shout out at some point, like, I'm thinking this now. Yeah. So that was at least a very minor way into what that headspace might be like. Um, yeah. And then yeah, it's interesting to say like the piece that's coming up, like when we actually, I guess, do the proper premiere as opposed to this kind of workshop version that Jiv and we made this thing that you're about to listen to in a week. So keep that in mind. But the piece that we're going to do, we've kind of pivoted away from the swimming component, and now we're using vibro tactile elements. So they're actually like video game vests that have different vibrating points in them throughout the vest, so that we can kind of create different sensations. So we can kind of almost make it feel like a wave is crashing on top of you, kind of thing, which is pretty nifty. So we're working with David Messia and
Very
Gavin
cool.
Shima on that. David in particular is really great at design stuff, so he's been doing some cool work, and we've been working with Amy on that. Our last workshop and our upcoming workshop that we'll be doing. So she's been super helpful.
We're hoping to be able to take a group of folks to visit this at the Push Festival. So
Awesome.
our Push Festival coordinator is going to come back and share all of this in another online episode when we get close to Push preview time.
Amazing.
So super excited. But we thought this would be a great entry point into that experience because you kind of get sort of the feeling for it because the story's it's not the same. It's different. It's a different experience than what this is. It's become something else, right? With nods to this that we're going to experience tonight. So, with that said, what are we experiencing in terms of like it's a meditative piece, so it's not a linear story. I think that's an important thing for folks to understand. that you're not going to get a once upon a time, blah, blah, blah at the end, right? It's not linear. Why is it not linear? Obviously, that's a specific choice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that was kind of our experience also, whether it be of swimming or also just like in meditation, that kind of thing. We so in it being meditative, it's kind of the way that like we're trying to simulate or try to write to kind of the way that thoughts kind of come in and out of your mind, and they're more associative. They're not always like one thing necessarily just right to the next.
Mhm.
In theater in particular, but I mean like most like published writing and that kind of stuff. Like I feel like there's often this push for like, no, point A must lead you to point B, and it won't be clear for the audience if it's not like that. And this one is not like that intentionally. Some of that kind of comes to a creation methodology or like just things that we think about. So like for a lot of our projects, I've brought in this kind of like dramaturgical framework, which just a different way of thinking about making stuff that comes more from South Asia rather than a lot of the stuff that we do here in particular is based out of the Western theater tradition. And this is kind of similar. So like most Western theater kind of links its origins back to the Poetics by Aristotle as an ancient text. This one, I think in some ways, kind of links its origins back to a book called the Natya Shastra, which is a South Asian treatise that was published. Well, it wasn't published. I guess it was before the time of publishing, but it's old. It's very old, like as old or if not older than the Poetics. And what makes it different, I think, is that it's not as driven on plot. It's more about like the affect and the emotion. So how emotions travel through your body, how you experience emotions. So that's some element to get like very intellectual about it.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I guess and yeah, so that's largely why it kind of goes so associative. Another thing I'll maybe just throw out so you're aware of it is that we have multiple performers doing the narrative in this piece, and that was a bit of an experiment to see what that would be like. And part of that was also to kind of look at the idea of multiple experiences, because while this guy who we were very inspired by made this swim. He's not the only one who has done that. Quite a few have done it that we know of and that survived. Probably a lot more who haven't survived. And yeah, so I think like something we were conscious of in this piece was it's being very clear. It's not a documentary. It's not trying to speak to what that experience is. It's really just us as artists trying to well do an artistic exercise for ourselves in creation, which is to really put our mind and hearts and souls towards imagining the experience of someone else that's not us. Which was kind of important because we had recently just done like probably 5 years straight of doing like identity play after identity play after identity play, looking at various identities, but it was we were kind of done with writing about just us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. And
And
sorry, go ahead, Tom.
no, just to say, like in terms of like the narrative component, it is actually linear, but it doesn't feel linear because it gets into that meditative frame of mind. So this version of it starts with you entering the water, and then it does complete the journey of that. It's just not in a way that's like, it's it
Yeah,
won't feel narrative.
obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Any content warnings we should be aware of before we?
Drowning.
Yeah.
Uh, Drowning is a big one. Obviously, this is, very it's based off of displacement and like political displacement, and so that's definitely a trigger warning. Yeah, just general political violence, I suppose. Um,
Yeah, I think like I don't know if it's a trigger per se, but it definitely at some points kind of gets into like a very existentialist meditation. I know we've said the word meditation 100 times, but like just thinking about death, thinking about dying, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I suppose those things are a little bit close today. I myself am somebody where that really ranges for me based on day. Just keep that in mind, maybe.
Great. Appreciate that.
And
No swearing or anything in this one, so we're good there.
Don't
And
think.
yeah,
there is, and I checked. There's
Yeah, certainly nothing very major. So
yeah.
awesome. So this piece is about 46 minutes long, and then Tom and Jiv are gonna hang around and take your questions or your comments. So prepare those, have those ready, because I'm hoping that there'll be lots of experiences to share. Are we ready, friends?
Yeah, I'll just add that, like, mate, if you have headphones, I think it probably would be better. It would be a better experience to listen to on headphones. But if not, whatever, you can still experience it.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right, my friends. Rick, when you're ready, can you hit play on Swim?
Freedom, derived from an Old English word meaning the power of self-determination or state of free will. Free, or frio, means simply exempt from. Further back, it stemmed from friaz, and before that, perhaps priya, which means beloved. Beloved, dumb. Now, dumb, that's also Old English, a statute or judgment, similar to the German Tum, which means jurisdiction, justice, equity, or decree. So, freedom, friodom, friazdom, priadom, lovedom, love decree. Freedom is a decree of love.
The first entry is familiar territory. It might not be your land that you're now floating above, but there's a familiar circumstance. Night, shadows, darkness. This is the time in which you are most free. The power of observation is taken away from the powers that be. But you know. Move quietly. Stay alert. Watch for light lest it find you. Someone is watching for you, if not over you. Out there is the horizon. You remember it. But at this time of night, it's blended into darkness with starlight dancing like lanterns of the ones that went before. They're out there, away from the shoreline that's disappearing similarly to nothingness. For now, the goal is simple. Get away. Cut.
Away. Somewhere later, time stops. Law stops. You are somewhere in between, where the watchful eye can't see you. Is this freedom? Where the only watcher is the stars? You could go back. You could go back. But how would you explain it to some night guard combing the beach, out for a night swim at the known point of departure? For now, you're the most free you've ever been. You answer to no one. There is no law out here. You found your land is just many leagues below you. No one to find you, no one to catch you, no one to penalize you, no consequence, no contingency, no penalty, no rescue ship, no prison, no shelter, no horizon, just
sky. You're somewhere between the earth and sky now, a child of Gaia and Uranus. You are a god. You are a god. And if you are a god, who's watching over you?
A wave crushes through you. Salt water shoots up your nose. The taste lingers at the back of your throat, creeps around the side of your tongue. You want to puke, but then you'd have to swim through your own puke. Some god. You crush through another wave, then another. This is all you know now. It's okay. Anyone can endure anything for 10 seconds. 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The water lifts you to the crest of a wave. Salt stings your eyes. You see tiny lights on the cliffs ahead. Hope. You're immersed in the border between your old life and your new one. 10, 9, 8.
7, 6, 5. How can a body burn in such cold water? You can go on for now, you think, but how long is now? How long have you been out here? Minutes? Hours? Days? No, not days. It's still dark, so less than a day, less than one night. But how much of that night? Are the lights on the horizon any closer? What if you look back to shore to see how far you've come? Then you'll know how much farther you need to swim. How much longer? 10, 9, 8. But what if you look back and the shore is nipping at your heels? What if you can see your footprints in the sand? Uppa's worried face waving you back to shore. Will you swim away from Ma's crying face? Don't look back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You turn onto your back and look at the stars. No horizon now, just sky. What compelled you to this? Violence drove you to the shore, yes, but what beckoned you into the water? You couldn't pay the smuggler, but you could have found another way. Why did you swim? What, because you swam at home? At the city pool? Because you swam 100 laps every morning, you think you practiced for this? You may have swam longer distances, back and forth from edge to edge, but there's no edge here, only more water. The laps may have taught you the movements of swimming, but all the laps in the world couldn't prepare you for the movements of faith. For a moment, you let your arms and legs rest. Your head dips into the water. You can see a distorted impression of the moon on the water's surface above you, like eyes filled with tears. Is this freedom? Somewhere between one continent and another. Between nation state and nation state, between citizen and refugee, between life and death, between here and there. If you let the sea take you, will your body finally be free? Will you be free in the depths of international waters, or will your body wash ashore, pushed to the boundaries of statehood even in death? You're drifting.
Snap back. You tug at the plastic wrapped around your arms. Your nostril fill with salt water as you wrestle free one of the ginger dates tucked underneath. You eat one of the dates. The sweetness cuts the bitter, brainy seawater. It's difficult to swallow with the pressure of the water on your chest. But you feel better. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This would be easier if you were a mermaid. Or a mer person. But then again, they can't go onto land. At least not without giving up their voice to a sea witch. There's something bitterly amusing about that. There should be an island coming soon. If you've even covered any distance, better not to think of it. Save those calories. Are there mermaid kingdoms or states waging war? The ocean seems like such a big place. Why would they bother to fight over land? Does territory have a vertical dimension there? Are there rebellious factions amongst the mermaids? Why would they be anything like you? 10, 9, 8. What would life be like without fire? What would happen if lightning struck? It must happen. Not tonight. There's not a cloud in the sky. Water is a conductor, and you're immersed in it. But then why don't the fish die? Do they just get a shock? Did the mermaid civilization end in a cataclysmic lightning strike? Not everyone dies when they're struck by lightning. It's just energy. Maybe the more relaxed and accepting you are of it, the easier it is to pass through you. The more receptive you are, the more it won't hurt you. Resistance is painful. Walls are painful. If you ease into the water, it will just massage you. If you fight it,
You remember red cotton? Dry, maybe it was linen, but softer. Polka dots and the smell of jasmine. You remember Layla the day you met in a traffic jam? Gridlock, scorching heat, cars backed up forever. How many car lengths from here to shore? How many buses have you moved through? Red nails, very put together. You gave her your number. No, she told you to put it in her phone. Are you a god now? Haven't you always been? Wasn't she daughter of Zeus, a demigod? Not Aphrodite, also a daughter of Zeus. That's weird. You would gladly launch 1,000 ships to see her again. You're in the very same water, you realize, where men were sacrificed to the dead, where men are still sacrificed to the living. But you don't have an army, a fleet of ships, a boat. You don't even have a raft. You just have this, your body. It'll have to do. Layla, you had no choice. Yarame Karakaru. It's okay. Ships get lost anyways. Bags of wind blow them everywhere but west, and you have no intention of wandering the sea, no interest in meeting the locals, cyclops, cannibals, sirens. You just want to see Layla again.
Kala means time, but also space and darkness. Is that all there is? The space between point A and point B is filled just by space, and that space is measured by time. If we couldn't measure time, would there be space? You feel the space between your chest and back now, acutely, expanding and retracting. The space between your hips and lower spine, every vertebrae. If you focus enough, can you feel the space between you and the shore? For that matter, can you still feel the space between you and the water? Or have you so acclimatized that now the you that was you is drifting through a larger you, embodied in every drop? Kala, the darkness. Just moonlight and star glimmers to illuminate the border of you from the dark water around you. If you reach out, there's nothing there to hold on to. Calm. You are no other place but here. Kala. You are in Kala, the space between two locations. How far is it from star to star, really? You are no other place but here. There's space between your back and your chest. There's space between the walls of your lungs. You're filled with Kala, made up of Kala. Every molecule is only differentiated because of Kala. The water is filled with Kala between each molecule, and you are filled with Kala between each molecule. What difference is there really between you and this sea? And if you are this sea, then somewhere you're already touching both shores. You are no other place but here. It's hard to tell if the birds up there are vultures or not. It certainly feels like they might be. On the one hand, it's a good sign. You can't be too far from land. Then again, for a bird, it's really not that far either way. You think about the salty, sweet dates that are keeping you going. Inside of you, now you're doing a magic trick. You're turning that date into a human. It's breaking down in your stomach, its nutrients extracted, turned into new cells. Meanwhile, you must be breaking down somewhat yourself, judging from the burning in your muscles through the cold water. By the end of this trip, how much of you will be made of dates? How much of you is made of dates normally? They're not an everyday thing, though lately they have been. It's a long way to go once you get to shore. What will keep you going then? What will you be made of then? Better not to think of it. If the vultures ate you, would you turn into a vulture? Or would you be carried to the shore? How much of the vulture would you be? How much you would the vulture be? How much date? The vulture would be part date, you suppose. Did you eat the date's soul? Does a date have a soul? For that matter, what makes a soul a singular soul in the first place? Souls don't know time. That's a body thing. An hour in pain is much longer than an hour blissed out, all subject to the nervous system. Kala. Time. Space. Maybe there's an afterlife, but somewhere along the line you decided not to just wait for it. You think about Layla, how time flew by. and how everything was new. It's not that life was more worth living, it's just that time was inconsequential. Time fell away and left your consciousness. Instead, you could be less conscious of so many things and still conscious of someone else simultaneously, all at once. There's no one else out here as far as you can tell, except the vultures. What is the nature of your existence if there's no one to rely on? If you're comfortable with time, will it fall away? If you're receptive to the vultures, will they eat you?
You try to float, but your head keeps dipping below the surface. You won't last much longer. Not like this. Legs made of cement. The weight of the water crushing your chest. You roll onto your back. Rest. Change perspective. Look at the black infinity of the sky. Help me, you murmur. Please help me. Thoughts will drown you, not the water. Have faith. Faith only begins once you stop thinking. Don't think about Layla, polka dots, fresh linens, or the smell of jasmine. Don't think about your parents at home. Ma's cooking, or Uppa's arthritis. Don't think about how you've put all your faith in this swim, or Uppa's arthritis. Don't think about how Ma's cooking. Somewhere along the line, Ma showed you how to make a blower out of twist ties. It was when Manny was crying that you lost his plastic wand. 2 twist tie circles, making them bigger and bigger, dipped into the same foamy liquid. Your bubble, Manny's bubble, floating together. Whose was bigger? Whose would win if they fought? And then something happened. They touched and stayed the same, more than the same. Your little brother's bubble on your bubble's back, floating, and then merging into one. Your breath was encased in soap, mixed with wind, floating freely, and now yours and your brother's breath were together in the same container of soap. And then it came to rest on a tree leaf, before finally the soapy container went away, kissing the tree with a lovely breath of freedom. 2 breaths as one. And you think, this bubble you live in is only that. You start to wonder how many bubbles popped out here. How many bodies have sunk to the bottom of the sea? Or do bodies float? They must for a little while. You don't want to see that. And you think about what you would do if you did. You can't stop, can you? Do you give it a funeral? It's just a body. The breath is gone now. You're just a body, but the breath is here. If you close your eyes, you're almost not even here, but part of this water. You could float above your body, leave your body. It would be so much easier outside of your soap bubble. You could use it like a flotation device to the shore, like a little brother on their older sibling's back. Isn't that what you're doing inside of this body anyway? Riding it, floating it somewhere to shore? It wouldn't be wrong to float on a body if the body is just that. It's just a log, a fleshy log. You're just a fleshy log.
Your uncle died from a riptide. That's what Upa said before you were born. He never wanted you to go into the water, but you were good. Ma's genes. The currents want to pull you back. You're so tired. You want to have faith. Faith that you'll make it to the other side. But you need to let go. Because that's not faith. That's hope. Follow the current. It will take care of you. Rationally, you know it can't be true. But rationality is something we came to on land. Have faith. But don't think of faith as soon as you try to have faith. It's no longer faith. A paradox.
A raft floats by with a full Romani orchestra.
How long have they been out here? Floating alongside you, wandering the seas, like Odysseus or Jonah? It can't be real. But it feels real. Sounds real. What's the difference anyway? If you're here and nowhere, touching the shore, every shore, it's all the same, isn't it? You never left home in the first place. They sing to you. And you're calm. Floating and calm. Enwrapped in some solidarity. Friends, let me on your raft. And it floats. Farther and farther away. It's okay.
You aren't shaking anymore. Your body's too heavy. But are you still trembling? How did you feel when you left the shore? It's hard to remember. Time is collapsed. When you dove into the water, you knew you would make it across, didn't you? You saw yourself swimming ashore. You felt the silkiness of the sand between your fingers. You felt the sun drying the salt water off your skin. You had faith that you'd make it, that you'd be free, didn't you? Freedom, priadom, a declaration of love. To who? To what? You also knew that you would drown. Once the sea got too deep for your feet to scratch the bottom, you'd never walk on land again. Slip away to the bottom of the ocean forever. That was your destiny. You were resigned to it. Being lost in this stateless place forever. And that would also make you free, wouldn't it? A declaration of love. As soon as you set foot in the water, you were free, no longer trembling. No, because you're both waiting at the bottom of the ocean and dancing on the shores of the horizon, both alive and dead, like a vampire or a zombie or that Austrian guy's cat. Your swimming is made of these movements now, not just of your thrashing limbs, but of the absurdity of it all. You know you will survive, but are resigned that you will die. And in this way, you get to experience death before actually dying. Cool.
Your body is a boulder. Your mind is air. Even as your limbs slow to a feeble crawl, you're lifted to the surface of the water. You skid across the ocean currents like a pebble across a still pond. The sun peeks out from beneath the water, and for the first time since leaving shore, you see land on the horizon.
Keep going. The land grows bigger and bigger as you swim faster and faster. You're not so much amazed at your sudden proficiency as you are thankful. Like a fly looking out the window of a moving car. It all just seems natural that you're moving quicker than you ever have before. As you look down to witness the sudden expertise of your exhausted limbs, you see yourself floating beneath the surface. Your arms grasping for the edge of the pool. Your legs running to the bottom of the ocean. You feel the weight of the water again, the pressure on your chest, the instinct to hold your breath even though all you want to do is breathe in.
You're still swimming though, faster and faster towards land, towards the horizon. You can see the water change color from deep blue to glittering transparent. You're going to make it. You think to yourself. You're going to survive. But you also can't move. You're drowning. The pressure on your lungs burns like lava. Your body has turned to stone, still solidified into a statue. You see the others.
The other statues floating next to your own.
The other statues.
So many of them you can't count them all, but they're all familiar. Like family. Like Layla. There she is, her statue next to yours. You knew you'd see her again. Floating and sinking next to you. Holding your breath is killing you, she whispers. Breathe in to set yourself free.
A declaration of love.
You inhale.
You inhale.
And the pressure lifts.
You inhale.
And the pressure lifts. The salty sting of the water cools the lava in your lungs. Your body is as weightless as your mind. Everything turns white. The water, the sun, the sky, the shore, as you race towards the horizon and sink into the depths.
1,
6,
10,
5,
9,
4,
8,
3,
7,
2,
6, 5,
1,
4,
10,
3,
9, 8,
1,
7,
10,
6,
9,
5,
7,
4, 3,
6,
2,
5,
10,
4,
9,
3,
8.
2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
You're dry now. The midday sun has returned you to the earth. You're hungry, but you need a break before you make the next journey on foot. What is this, a triathlon, you think to yourself? You climb up a rocky cliff to get a better look at the area. No buildings, but you think you see a road in the distance. A cool breeze pushes your hair into your face. You look out to the water. The tide is rolling up the beach. The view is beautiful from up here. Your point of departure seems impossibly close. Is that all you swam? It's so short, so possible. You see something in the water, rolling on top of the waves. It's bloated, rigid, clothed. You climb down the cliff and run towards the beach. Water sprays in the air as you sprint back into the sea towards your lifeless body. Your limbs are twisted from the tide. Your face and neck are swollen. You look both stiff and limp at the same time. The sight of yourself makes you nauseous. You grab hold of your wrists and pull yourself on shore. You're not quite sure what to do. Cradle yourself? Give yourself CPR? You brush some sand off of your cheeks. You can't just leave yourself like this. You dig. How deep are you supposed to go? You seem to remember 6 feet, but how many feet in a meter? You dig until you can't anymore. You sit on the sand and eat your very last ginger date, your very last piece of home. You drag your lifeless body from the beach to the newly dug hole and With as much grace as you have the energy to muster, you lower yourself into your grave. You take the shovel and slice it into the fresh mound of dirt and clay. Before you pile the mess onto your body, you imagine what your family would do now. What would Layla do? You take 3 small piles of dirt with the back end of the shovel and sprinkle it onto your corpse. This simple gesture, the turning of a shovel, turns this from a gruesome task to a ritual. You pray.
What do you do now? Nothing's prepared you for this. Then again, nothing's prepared you for anything of late, it seems. If this is true, time and space don't govern you anymore. You are everywhere. Shouldn't you be able to see the future? Shouldn't you be able to see how it all works out in the end? Can you go back home now? Can you go back to being a child? That night on the roof? The traffic jam? Something's holding you back. Some attachment. What if you let it all go? Thumbs are cool. Thumbs are amazing. Thumbs are longer lasting than any empire, dynasty. Feels like you should have another one. Another. How long have you been here? Focus on your thumb. Let it go. Focus on your thumb. The joints, the bend, the innovation. Let it go. Feel the space. Let it expand. Kala. Time, space, darkness, Kala. Go beyond the thumb. The pinky feels so present now. So many piggies. Market, home, roast beef, none, wee. None. That's the goal. 1, 2, 3. Third finger. But from what side? You can't remember. Maybe this is progress. What side was it? Who went to the market? And then there's 5. Ideally, there's 5. It's the same. Middle finger. Dissolve. 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 Kala. Dissolve. Space. Dissolve. Dissolve your soap bubble. It's just a pop.
This SummerWorks Lab workshop presentation of Swim was produced by Pandemic Theatre in collaboration with Theatre Conspiracy. It was presented by Why Not Theatre with development support from Crow's Theatre.
Swim was written and created by Jivesh Parasram and Tom Arthur Davis in collaboration with Tim Carlson, Govan Chima, and David Messia. Our readers were Tsulu Kalema, Donna Michelle St. Bernard, and Sally Zori.
Swim was recorded and edited on the territory of the Erie, Neutral, Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Mississaugas, and Anishinaabe peoples, as well as on the unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Stolo peoples.
This project was made possible by the Government of Canada and the Canada Council for the Arts. Special thanks to Rumble Theatre for podcast hosting support.
To learn more about Swim and to give feedback on the presentation, visit www.pandemictheatre.ca. For further inquiries, contact Jivesh Parasram, that's me, at jiv@pandemictheatre.ca.
That was Swim, everybody. We're going to invite Tom and Jiv back into the space. If they're still here. I'm just kidding. I'm curious if y'all listened to it or if you went and folded laundry or something.
I went and had dinner.
Did you? Good for you. Good for you. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times. Let's start off with a few questions, and I want to just remind our audience.
I didn't hear it. I couldn't see it. There's no sound.
Oh, we all got sound on our end, Megan.
No, but not on mine.
Did you have your volume down?
No.
Well, you'll have to check it out on the YouTube channel then. We all got sound. Anybody else have problem with sound? Huh? I think it was just you, my friend. That's too bad. But it is going to be on the YouTube channel, so you can check it out there. Yeah, so just a reminder to our friends in the Zoom room that you have opportunity now to ask questions, of course, of Tom or Jiv, or share comments or experiences of this piece as well. So raise your hand function is more accessible for me. If that's not accessible for you, maybe Tom or Jiv can catch anything in the chat that I can't read, but you can also just open your mic if that's what you need to do. And we'll just chit chat until we have some hands. So here we go. All right, my friends. So thank you for sharing this. Every time I listen to it, I kind of find some new stuff in it, which is interesting to me because I kind of didn't expect that would happen. But because I think you're in a meditative state, your brain wanders. It's like you're listening to it, but you're not hearing all the details of it because you're kind of in and out, like this air quotes character is in and out a little bit. So you pick up different things. And I wonder if that was an intent, like if that had been something that you had expected to hear from audiences, or whether that was something that you've never heard before, or something you feel when you listen back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced that too with it,
Yeah.
and when we've been working on it throughout, and it's definitely something we've heard from folks, and yeah, it's by design. I think it's not. Again, this isn't like one of those like plot heavy kind of experiences where if you miss something, you're kind of lost with everything else that's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's part of what we're aiming for. Do you want to talk a bit more about that, Jiv?
No, I mean, I don't really have much to add. I would say, yeah, I think it's what we're going for, and we have heard that. I mean, even just listening to it now is like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. So it's nice.
Yeah, we've cut a lot of it.
Yeah.
We've got a hand from Ben, so let's just bring Ben right on in. Give Ben a moment to unmute, and Lori, you'll be up after Ben.
Okay, I kind of got two thoughts here going on. A, what made you decide to, and then I'll have to leave. because I'm not sure how long this is gonna go for this next part. How long did it take for you to make that piece? Was it 2 days? Was it 2 months? Was it a year and a half?
Yeah, kind of both, all of those. We created that audio, what you just listened to, that was all built in like a week. We had a residency with Summerwork, so we built the whole thing then. Like, so we recorded with the artists and just created a lot of the sound design of that, and yeah, then we built all that within a week. But then the actual script, we'd had kind of two different development periods. One where we were just kind of like swimming and jamming on it. And then another one where we actually sat down and we wrote the bulk of it. We come in with some offers of writing, and then we just kind of sat down over, I don't know, what was that, Jiv? Maybe 5 days, and just kind of wrote a full draft of the thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like I would say like it's an interesting thing because like I suppose we've been developing it for years, so to speak, but also like in practicalities, it's actually just some focused work periods, but lots of time to think about it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is there.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. It comes to you when you're in the shower and you're like, oh, I gotta remember that.
Yeah, totally.
And then I did have another question there.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a part, and I'm sorry, I'm going to ask this and I probably purge this. I'm going to purge this. Is there going to be a part B to what we saw today coming up soon?
Yeah, we've got. Do you want to go, Jeff? You go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, sure, yeah. In a manner of speaking, the full production is going to premiere. I don't know if they've officially announced. Oh, but it's on the Touchstone Theater website, so it's officially fine. It's going to premiere at the Push Festival in February, and a lot of this content will be in there, but we've also made a lot of cuts, and there's some stuff from there is an earlier part of the show too that we've written. Kind of before you get in the water. So there's a little bit of that still there. Yeah, but it'll be a different experience. It'll be like Tom was saying earlier, you'll have these like haptic vests on and like a whole different style of audio. We've been doing binaural audio with it, so like the sound quality itself is really interesting. It kind of feels like things are moving around you. It's a really interesting experience in that way, for sure.
Okay, now, and I did have a question for I can't pronounce her name.
You talking to me, Ben? Amy?
Amy?
Yep.
For tonight, is there anything else coming up after this, or is this just it?
After we say goodnight to Jiv and Tom, there'll just be some social chit chat if folks want to stick around.
Okay, I'm gonna be on, but I'm gonna be turning my mic off for a couple minutes.
No problem.
I will be back in a bit.
No problem, Ben. Thanks for chatting. Okay, Lori, you're up.
Water. Audio now unmuted.
Okay, when I think of swimming, I always think of a pool because I'm afraid to swim in open water. I want something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
I was knocked down by a wave once, so when you kept saying about waves, in this, it's like made me think of that. But it's just like it's interesting how you guys put this together, for about swimming. Did it take a lot of time for you guys to think all this up for this?
Yeah, we started working on it in 2019, and the version you're hearing now happened we created that in 2021. So there was like maybe a couple years of stewing on it and coming up with stuff. So yeah, a little bit of time.
Well, how did the haptic vests come into play?
Yeah.
Those, oh yeah. That's pretty new. Like, so this new version that'll be the first time we've done it like that. I'd say we started experimenting with that in just this past July, right, Jiv, where we actually got them?
Yeah. We had used these things called like woogers, so they're similar. I don't know if anyone got a chance.
RG.richmondcity.vancouver.
Not There was a show that Govan Chima had directed that was at the college. Anyway, but you may have encountered them there. But there were these kind of
Catfish?
it was Catfish, yeah. So we had that same technology that they had during Catfish, which are these kind of like belts you can strap to yourself. And then David was really interested because he had worked on that one with Govan, and so he kind of saw the potential that if we were to use one of these vests, we could actually really control it a little bit more. And because with the device, like it just kind of gives you a bit of vibration, but with the vests, it kind of gives a lot more control. So that's kind of what most of our time, the past little while we worked on it, was on it. And this next upcoming period, we're going to be really getting specific on that stuff.
So for folks who are trying to conceptualize the vest, it's like wearing it's like wearing a PDF, like a flotation device when you go on a boat, but much thinner. Really, like really thin. And so you can feel it vibrate on your body in different sort of parts of your body. So Lori, when you talk about being hit by the wave, Lori's joining us from California. So Lori will be able to join us at the Push Festival.
I wish I could if you had it here in the Bay Area, but
I know. But when you've got the binaural sound in your ears that make you hear the waves crashing, and then you've got this flutter of vibrations that go through your body that make you feel like you're being hit by a wave a little bit, it's a whole different sensation while the storytelling's happening. So
does the vest go all the way around your body, or just in the front of you?
All the way around.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah, it's like you're on your torso only, but yeah, there's I think 16 different vibrating points, Jiv, maybe 12. But anyway, so it's on your front and your back.
They do go at different times, or just I'm trying to visualize this in some way.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, they're kind of it's basically it has like 12,
Michael Podesta has left the meeting.
Has like 12 or 16 different little speakers on it. Think of it like that, or like subwoofers. So they vibrate.
Okay.
And then they can program when a specific one goes off and for how long. So you can actually have you can make it feel like your heart is beating and just one of them is vibrating, or you can have them all going at once if you want to, or you could program it so it starts in your stomach, goes up to your chest, goes up to your collarbone kind of feeling. So it would feel like a wave that's like coming up on top of you.
That's very interesting. I will say I did doze off a little bit during the.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's just I'm honest.
It's meditative, Lori. It's meditative. If anybody needs meditation, it's you, my friend.
Yeah, I meditated on the couch listening to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Sean and Christy, and I'm certainly going to guess it's Christy, but it could be Sean. Every week they could surprise me.
It's mostly Christy, but I'm actually saying I'm looking forward to seeing this tech at the Push Festival.
Yeah, I thought maybe you'd be interested in the tech, Sean.
I just want to play with it. But Christy, you could go. You're on.
Oh, all right, fine. I'll be the academic.
Be the academic.
All right. I'll try not to be too academic, but just to comment that the concept of swim is I like how you present like a Western concept like swim. So we're swimming, take in Vancouver, right? Like, okay, we can swim in the ocean, and you contextualize it, to something totally different. A flight for freedom, and you absolutely just throw us into a different world. And I think that as Westerners, and okay, I'm saying Westerners, and I'm actually from Trinidad, so big up Trinidad, because I know you have Trinidadian roots, Jiv. But as Westerners, we totally don't have that. We're so comfortable, and we don't have that hardship in us. So I think it's a really cool concept to do, to throw, to put us in that discomfort and have us sit in that discomfort. I think our society needs that because, hashtag first world problems. We complain a lot about first world problems. And I think we need to sometimes sit in the discomfort of the bigger issues out there. So cheers to giving us that discomfort. I think we need it.
That's what good art does. Makes you think.
See, I have the discomfort of the chocolate chip cookies are all the way across the room, and I'm going to have to journey over there to get them.
Slightly different range. It's
a little different.
Hashtag white guy problems.
You cook the cookies.
Thanks for those comments. I'm certainly sure you'll be at the Push Festival to enjoy this one. Louise, come on in, Louise.
Okay, hi everyone. You know, I've got a creepy feeling tonight a little bit and felt like I could have done this. I couldn't even consider doing something like this. You know, I love water. I grew up in the water. I love it. But the thought to be out, you know, even imagine being not in a pool or not near shore would scare the living daylights out of me. To be, you know, to put this together, there's imagination, courage, and some kind of, I don't even know what other word I'm looking for, but there's just creativity in this. And I think I'd have to watch it 2 or 3 times to really get the full out of it. Because yeah, it's hard to take it all in one round.
Yeah, totally. Like, thank you. That's really nice of you. And I guess, yeah, this is going to be posted on YouTube. We can also send you the link to our Vimeo if you just want to listen to that. That's no problem as well. If you're so inclined to want to listen to it again.
Well, it's going to be on YouTube, as you said, so I'll be able to listen to it.
Great, perfect.
But no, I'm just saying is there's so much you can't take it in, and it's like I was trying to make dinner at the same time, eat my dinner and work at dinner and that. So it was like, and at first I got lost a little bit a couple times in it. So sometimes it's hard to always, you know, imagine what, you know, how to feel grounded in it. That's what I feel.
Okay,
I don't think I could even consider doing something or do even, you know, the thought of, you know, being out that, you know, doing something long term like that. I don't know how long it really was, but most likely shorter than I think it is. But it's, to me, I'd be afraid. And I don't like cold water. So yeah.
And imagine having to do it when your life is on the line.
Yes.
Right?
I guess that's
having
what
having to leave family behind.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, to me, give me a swimming pool, give me that comfort, and I'll be there anytime. No, I'm being honest, but thank you for your hard work in this. I really appreciate it. And no, most likely I won't be at the festival. I'm still recovering, but yeah. So thank you for bringing and sharing it with us.
Yeah,
That's why we bring it here. All right. Thanks, Louise. We appreciate that comment. Who I got next on here? Ben. Ben's back with another comment or question.
Well, actually, I have both.
Okay. Great.
So I am gonna go with the comment first. Jib, did I get your name right? Jib?
Close. It's with a V. J-I-V, Jiv.
Jiv? Sorry. There, I think I think I splurged on your name there by mistake. Where can we? So when it's not, if it's not on YouTube, where can people find the? Where can people find the audio for this?
Go ahead,
Amy. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on the VocalEye YouTube page. Channel.
All right. Now, okay. Now I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this, Amy.
Yep.
Could you send, when I send you my email, could you send me the VocalEye YouTube channel so I could find it?
There will be a link, Ben, circulated after with a follow-up email asking for your feedback, and we'll circulate the link to this episode so you can revisit this one and find our channel that way. You'll get all that information, so it's all in one email.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask, is it Jib? Or Jib or
Jib?
Tom or whatever his name is?
Yep.
Tom?
Yeah, Tom. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to ask, are you in for me to give you a piece of feedback?
Yeah, sure. Go down. Yeah.
Okay. And I gotta say, as a person with lack of vision, you drew us in to this wonderful experience.
That's great.
What inspired you to do this did you do this for fun or did you do this for show?
Sorry, you kind of were a little garbled there. Can you repeat that?
Did you do this for fun or did you do this for show?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say it was fun. Like it wasn't like let's have a lark. But yeah, like we have our own company, Jiv and I, called Pandemic Theater, and yeah, it's an opportunity for us to create work that we're interested in exploring various themes and topics. So I guess that is kind of fun, if I'm being honest. But yeah, we did it too, with the idea of eventually getting to present it and show it publicly.
All right. And I have a question for you. I have a question for you, lady.
Last question, Ben. What is it? Go ahead.
When does this second part of it wrap up this evening?
We'll be wrapping up pretty soon, Ben.
I will head you on the next one, guys.
Give us another 5-7 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna be working on. I'm gonna beat myself out. I'm gonna be online, but I'm gonna be just working on a few emails to wrap up my night here.
Sounds great. Tom, Jiv, after the Push Festival, do you plan to tour with this show? Is that a dream of yours? Yes, no?
I think hope. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting show in the sense that technically I don't know that we need to tour with it at all. Because we're making it into this audio piece, audio and haptic kind of the best you can feel. It should in theory be able to go just as that system. And the performance is recorded playback, incorporated with these elements. So, I mean, we would love to go on tour with it, and we will be there at the Push Festival too. So that's maybe a touring model where we'll be there, kind of helping folks get set up and that kind of thing. But I think if we could, we would love to take it around and just see wherever wants to present it.
Yeah, and like there's this idea that's come out in the past few years to like kind of reduce the carbon footprint of a touring production called concept touring. So this could be one of those like concept tours where it's, maybe we send a person to kind of set up the tech, or even we could just send them the elements and they the vests, we kind of need to send the vests because most places aren't just gonna be able to get those vests. They're expensive. So but yeah, I think the idea is that it's actually a very economical thing to tour. And yeah, sure, it's nice to be able to go visit places when you're touring work and see the world. But yeah, if people are interested in it after Push and we can get some traction there, I would love to be able to share it with more audiences.
Yeah, that's great. It looks like we have one more hand, so we'll make this the last one of the night, and I think it's Ishtar, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah.
Come on in, Ishtar.
Hi, can you hear me?
We gotcha.
Oh, good, at work. Okay. Wow. I feel really like I'm still I'm being thrown, turned and tumbled under the water and trying to come up. And I do actually really like the water, but trying to come up and breathe and not being able to breathe. And it was really, I do need to listen to that again and with headphones, because I don't feel like I got there's more to get there. I found like it's uncomfortable, and it's really interesting. Like I'm not identifying with the person, the person who buried his their drowned self. I'm not I don't identify with that person as much as I identify with the person in the water tonight. So yeah, I was so happy for a minute. I was like, oh great, they made it to the other side. It's bright, it's beautiful. They're looking down. And then maybe I mean they did make it to the emptiness and the freedom of not being in the bubble, I guess, in the end. But I feel like that, yeah, wow, like it's really interesting how shaken I feel by it. Thank you. Like that, which is like very cool. I mean, it's not comfortable, but I love that, because sometimes I find it hard to be really moved by things, especially living with illnesses that, kind of sometimes I feel somewhat shut down in ways. So I'm just sitting here like feeling the feeling, and also reminding myself that my feet are on the floor, that I am here. I'm not actually in the water. I'm trying to remember when I had that experience with waves, like, and being under and slapping me under. It was nothing, it's obviously, I mean, I didn't drown, so it was nothing like your piece, but I have been in some moments where the water surprised me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. If I find, if I find someone that like I can stay with in Vancouver, I don't know that person now, but I would really like to come and experience it with, well, the rest of it, the stuff that you haven't put in yet, in this version, and also with the Haptic Fest. That'd be really, I don't know, it's kind of psychedelic, it seems like.
Yeah. Even we're kind of wondering what it's going to be like, to be honest. We're still
that's exciting.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for those comments, Ishtar. Tom, Jiv, thank you so much for bringing this to the space. Good luck with the workshops. Good luck at Push. So exciting. I will see you at Push, and I hope a bunch of us will also be there.
Audio now unmuted.
All the screen readers go up at the same time. Gotta love it. But I'll say goodnight to you because I want to honor your time in the space, and I know that poor Jiv's deep in Panto Land, which I've already bought my tickets for. So I'm excited about that. Folks in Vancouver, if you haven't bought your tickets for the Panto yet, there are some holds on for VocalEye folks, but get them because they are selling out quickly. They're 50% off for VocalEye patrons. So get them. That's all I can say for this, but thank you. Really excited about what's next for Swim.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for having us.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.